Hello, everyone. I'm Major Garrett in Washington. Welcome to America Decides. Former President Trump's legal fate, at least in one jurisdiction facing one set of charges, is tonight in the hands of a New York jury. Day one of deliberations in his criminal case there has just ended. The 12 jurors will return tomorrow as they consider the 34 felony charges of falsifying business records. The former president, during one of the breaks in legal action today, slammed the process.
Mother Teresa could not beat these charges. These charges are rigged. The whole thing is rigged.
Our Errol Barnett is outside the courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Errol, summarize the day. What did the jury ask for, and what might it mean?
Major, for the first time, these 12 New Yorkers will now have the ability to discuss this historic case with each other and determine if Donald Trump is guilty or not guilty. The first clues 4 hours into deliberation as to which aspects of this case they're most interested in all relate to either testimony from Michael Cohen or Trump confidant David Pecker or conversations that took place in Trump Tower. The prosecution has always maintained that an August 2015 meeting at Trump Tower was the core and the nexus of a conspiracy ahead of the 2016 election to effectively mislead voters by having David Pecker, a former tabloid publisher, suppress negative stories about Trump, amplify negative stories about his opponents, and effectively pave the way for him to get to the White House. Some of the other key testimony that jurors have requested transcripts of that they will hear first thing tomorrow relate to David Pecker's phone conversation with Donald Trump as it related to Karen McDougal. At that time, Pecker testified that Trump encouraged him to purchase McDougal's story in order to kill it. Why is this relevant? Because the judge instructed the jury that in order to adjudicate this case, they have to divorce their personal opinions, their personal bias. Donald Trump is innocent until proven guilty, and the jurors have to believe beyond a reasonable doubt that Trump falsified the checks to Michael Cohen, these business records, in order to further another crime. That other crime, which makes all of this a felony, would be pursuing legal office through unlawful means. The prosecution has said the suppression of negative stories in this conspiracy is the proof that there was an unlawful intent in the first place. And so that's this early indication, with only a few hours of deliberation, that these jurors are focusing on the law and trying to follow the judge's instructions to them as closely as possible.
That's a brilliant summary, Errol, and I'm so grateful for it. You mentioned twice the instructions to the jurors from the judge. As I understand it, they've asked for those to be represented to them in some form or fashion. How will that happen? What might that mean?
It's almost an archaic kind of relic of the New York judicial process. The jurors have a laptop, and the laptop contains the hundreds of pieces of evidence throughout this 6-week trial. But the hundreds of pages, or I think it was like a few dozen pages of Judge Merchan's jury instructions to them, is not with them in the jury deliberation room. And so as they all have these conversations with each other, this cross-section of New Yorkers, men and women of different ages, from different professional backgrounds, they want to make sure that they're following the guidance from the judge. So the day ended by them asking the judge or a clarification, whereas the judge said, well, if you want me to reread the instructions, that will take an hour. So perhaps narrow exactly what it is you want reread. And all of that will be read to the jurors tomorrow morning. But yes, they have a laptop. They've got the digital access to the evidence that was presented in this case. But if they want to be reminded, it's kind of like when you take one of those tests and it's a closed note test. If they want to be reminded as to what the jury instructed them, they'll need to specifically ask for that guidance.
Excellent summary, as always. Errol Barnett, outside the courthouse in Manhattan. Thank you so very much.